Welcome once again to Stories That Stick, a podcast with creatives and friends talking about the stories that have stuck with them, bonded to their hearts. I'm your host, Chad Quandt, joined by associate producer and life partner, Jakylln. Heidi, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been too long.
It's been too long. I haven't seen you in 15
I know.
minutes. This is part 2 of covering a book that I wanted to cover. And so as having a guest on, I wanted to be selfish. Actually, no, this was your idea, Jakylln, to talk about something that I liked. And so I picked a book that we had both read, Runaways, Volume 1, by Brian K. Vaughn and Adrian Alphona, with covers by the fantastic Joe Chen. That'll draw you in. This is a Marvel's original series to bring in younger audiences with some pretty dark storylines. Again, this is part 2. You can go back and listen to the first episode where we're insane to think that we could cover all 18 issues in one episode.
There is a lot of plot. There's a lot of plot.
There's a lot of plot, but you know what? It's good plot. It's character motivated plot.
It is. And when it is in the, put in the perspective of 18 issues of comic books, you gotta like have a thing happen 18 times.
18 times. You gotta make sure that page turn happens. I think that's a really unappreciated skill of not just writing a good story, but knowing what your odd page is, that last panel that'll get you, I guess, to not just throw the comic immediately in the garbage.
Yeah. We've talked about this a little bit when I try to watch Dragon Ball Z.
How do you know? Yes.
Just in terms of pacing, isn't it that it's just more so how each issue was paced versus a traditional television show?
Yeah. I have to admit, I've never read the Dragon Ball Z manga. I really should. It's been fun to go back through the original Dragon Ball Z with you. We also are doing Sailor Moon crossover, which I would say maybe also has some filler. Dragon Ball Z is way worse about it, I will admit.
There's a difference between filler and... Wait, nothing happened.
Can I justify part of it? Part of it, I don't know the business side of it's better for us to have 60 episodes versus, 22. But I guess in the long run, you have more ad space to sell. But in some anime, things that you and I have watched, there's definitely the strategic kind of still moments, right? I think the most iconic is the Evangelion 2-minute escalator where you're just seeing figures talk, barely moving.
Yeah, although every time I've asked about it while we're watching the show, you've phrased it a little bit more like he's just doing what he wants to.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a whole an editor really hovering over his head unless he was going to do some real effed up stuff.
I just
still.
I just think Dragon Ball Z wise, I don't. Oh yeah, we got on this because of comic book pacing. It's either paced.
Yeah, comic book pacing.
It's either paced like a series, like a manga series, or it's or that guy was just filling screen time with guys clenching their fists at each other.
I mean, the tension, the standoff. This is, you could connect it to pro wrestling where they got to pace themselves, right, in a match. So sometimes they do just need to lock up and hold against each other because they need a quick breather before they pile drive each other again. It's kind of like that. There's also even in Dragon Ball Z, I think there's moments where they're going to have a few minutes of standoff because coming up is 30 seconds of fucking rad action. And they got to save their animation for that.
Sure. But also, he seemed to be just doing whatever he wanted.
The worst filler in that first arc, this is us talking about Dragon Ball Z. The worst filler in that first arc, and this is up to, what would you call it, the Saiyan saga? When, Vegeta and Nappa show up and are defeated. Right before they go to...
Well, I don't know what the other sagas are
That makes
called.
sure they go into space. We were just about to go to Namek. That's the next saga we're about to do. But the part where there's a lot of like in Dragon Ball Z, Goku's about to win, and then he's like, "Well, this would be an unfair fight. Actually, Krillin, give him a sensu bean so we can fight again, and it's an even fight." And everyone's like, "What the fuck are you doing, Goku?" And that sort of adds like 10 episodes and changes the tension in a different way. That feels like it's drawing it out. Dragon Ball Z is not what we're talking about. There's Brian K. Vaughan's Runaways is paced so wonderfully. They are going through, I don't even think necessarily each issue is, and this issue, they stop a fire from burning a bunch of kittens. Is that the comic premise I'm pitching for Runaways? You know, the only one I can think of, and sort of the first one in this next arc, Teenage Wasteland, Chapter 1, issue number 7. I guess there's a little bit of a small adventure of stopping a grocery store.
Yeah, right before there's the grocery store robbery. We also have that artwork. You'd mentioned it to me before, the panel where they're all standing together, and it says...
The end of the last issue that was like, "I hope I die before I get old. Team assemble."
Where we cut off. I didn't realize there's kind of like a little they do like a post-credit scene on that little moment where they jump back to the parents arguing, and they have a mirrored panel of the parents as they all come together. That's so clever. I hadn't realized that on the first read through.
I think the panel in this is really, there's nothing too experimental. It's not like Watchmen, where that guy, I'm blanking on the artist, I'm sorry, was really cooking with like 30 panels on a page that are all working parallel and doing some pretty radical stuff. But yeah, I think this is well thought out by the artist.
It's really well thought out. And it's... the fact that it almost does feel like a post-credit scene in that moment of like, we have a little bit of a soft ending there, and then the parents being like, "But we're still here. We're still a danger to you." It's a fun parallel. I like that was it adds some drama.
Yeah, it's ramping up the tension a little bit. Where we had last left that issue 6 was the Runaways, who already knew their parents were supervillains, have really kind of come into their own of like, all right, we're doing a thing. We're a super team. We're taking them some code names. There's no cohesive style to their names, right? Like Lucy in the Sky does not roll off the tongue like Bruiser or Sister Grimm.
It feels a lot like being in like a high school creative writing class when people are like showing like what their inner world is like a little bit, and it's a little messy, a little bit like a deer standing up for the first time. Like, it's like, "Oh, that's cute. Yeah. What's your second thought?"
Yeah. Let's riff it a little bit more. But also, I guess all the Marvel teams, besides the ones where it's the Avengers are all cohesive. I love when the X-Men is like, well, you got Wolverine and Rockslide, but also Negasonic Teenage Warhead, because that teenage mutant felt like they needed that name to express themselves.
Yeah, I think, there's something to be said about when it's implied that they've had this name for a while. You can't really knock it, but, when they're just now pitching them, we can see how awkward that process is.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, if this was a TV series, it would be probably tough to fit 6 issues into like a 2-part pilot. But this feels like the first episode past the establishing pilot, right? Like, all right, there's teenage runaways. What do they do besides just trying to fight their parents? And I love that they're all... I don't know if they ever say, like, we need to counterbalance what our parents are doing in Los Angeles, but we're heroes. Let's go be heroes.
It seems like that's lightly floated, if I remember right, by, like, some of the team, but not Alex. Alex seems a little bit more focused on, well, let's stay safe. And, like...
because Alex is planning something.
Yeah, he's got long-term plans. I also like the like down-to-earthedness of their first big incident as a team is a very, like, I don't know, everyday occurrence. They need to go get food.
Right. It's not even let's go on patrol like Batman. It is just we have our secret base. We need we need supplies. Okay, I guess we can be heroes and stop this robbery. You're totally right.
Yeah, it's a nice little like down to earth moment for them for their like first fighting moment. Also, so yeah, they decide they need food. They're going to this little supermarket, or it's like a 7-Eleven.
It's a non-named
Yeah,
7-Eleven for sure, right?
the
Yeah.
7-Eleven is the greatest. Um,
And this is would be in Los Angeles, right? It'd just be a random, 24/7
yeah,
little grocery store out on the
and
street.
it's getting robbed by two adults and a kid, and they decide in the moment they need to step in to save the day, and they're terrible at it.
Yeah, that's what I also really like is I think the trope a lot is like Spider-Man's out there swinging around. He sees some bank robbers, makes some quip, thwip, thwip, thwip. Bad guys are, taken care of. Who's this Spider-Man character? I love that they kind of get their asses handed to them here in this first
Yeah, they do it
adventure.
in a very ham-fisted way where there's a lot of collateral damage.
Oh, they're
Yeah,
wrecking this place. It is almost worse. The money would have probably been covered by insurance,
yeah,
hopefully. This is real
yeah.
bad.
I also I did anxiously as the scene was happening. I was like, but also grab food. You are here for food. Make sure you get food.
I mean, I think then the guy running the store would have been like, did I get double robbed?
Right?
Did I,
But also like,
did a bigger robber predator come in and take their scraps?
I mean, kind of that's what happens. Do they take food in the end?
I don't recall them doing that. There should have been a moment like, fuck, we didn't get bread.
Ah,
God
it
damn it.
does look like Chase is taking food. He does. I mean, they
Good.
needed it. And yeah.
No, they like Aladdin. They needed a loaf
Yeah,
of
they're
bread
kids.
to survive. They're kids. I also really like they're using this to plant some stuff for later, right? I love how the Pride find out their secret hideout because someone while they were in the 7-Eleven used the nearby like phone booth to call in a tip, right? We still don't know who this mole is. Someone in the Runaways cannot be trusted.
Yeah, it's adding that tension and that it's interesting also, do we get, because I think we get that hint right before uh they meet up back at their secret lair to show their new pal around, Topher.
Yes, we didn't say that when they're about to like arrest the third guy, he pulls off his mask and is like, I didn't want to rob. My parents are making me." And so it's nice. I fell for this because, well, of course, this series is about finding, manipulated and abused kids by villains. Why not have one more added to the
Yeah, and
crew?
that like it's a common thing, like kids being in a bad spot because of their parents. Um so it did seem very realistic for it to like, oh yeah, good thing they were here. And then we realized someone called in that tip, and then they bring
Mm-hmm.
Topher back onto their place. Uh
Being savvy, I guess, in hindsight, if you're really thinking about is I think when I first read this, I was almost bummed that Topher was joining the team because I hadn't felt endeared to him. And I was like, who's this kid? Why does he get to join? Which is basically how Alex feels. But thinking about it as a comic book, you're like, what is Topher going to do? He's gonna be the like we already have Alex as Wilder, who's just sort of the I'm smart and strategic. What's Topher gonna do? Break in through windows? Like, what's his
yeah.
skill?
It's interesting though because I think setting it up this way almost made him a quick endear. Like I didn't totally trust him cuz like
Yeah,
obviously. But they did set up him being there right after we get a reminder that someone in this group cannot be trusted. So
right.
there were moments where Topher felt like a blank slate of a like, well, he's innocent, so maybe he's actually going to find out who the mole is. Like
Oh, that's an interesting
it
idea.
just,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
remember that like that almost trusting him because well, he can't be the mole, and right now, like it almost like jingled the keys at me that was like, think about the mole, don't think too hard about this kid's story, which is that his
No, they hide
parents
it
were
really
making
well.
him, and this kid's story is that his parents were making him rob this bank with them. Like
And the twist of what it is great. And by the way, I forgot there's a line where, even the comic book is kind of scratching at like what would Topher's role be. I think Lucy in the sky says, "What kind of bad guys are your parents, Topher? Androids, demons, android demons?" Like they're already searching for what do you have to fit into this group. And hey, by the way, later on in Runaways, maybe there is a kid android that joins the team. It's pretty cool.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah, it's neat. Yeah. Spoiling, I guess, ahead, but we're not covering that comic, so technically it's fine. Topher's more dangerous in other ways. I think the reveal, and we're going to try to be a little less strict on going beat by beat through these comics, because you listeners should read it. You should check it out. True. The reveal that Topher, who spends a little bit of time caught up suddenly in a love triangle of Nico's got feelings, Carolina's got a little bit of feelings, Alex is watching all of this through a secret painting in the hideout.
Yeah, and which also he's apparently had this secret painting hideout into Nico's room. So like,
well, I think he found it. He must have found it somewhere.
He found it at some point, but he should have like let her know right away and been like, "You should either switch rooms or like cover the painting."
Yeah, but also now, which we'll learn later, Wilder loves secret hole paintings, right?
That's true. This is the second one.
This is the second one. We'll, when we learn much later that the origin of this story wasn't discovering the evil parents at the same time, that months before the previous sacrifice, Wilder had found another secret eye painting and witnessed what his parents were, and then manipulated the other kids into discovering it at the same time.
This kid has one move, and it's secret eye paintings.
It's looking through the cuckold painting of... Yeah, I mean, I guess he doesn't want this to happen, right? Wilder's immediately got defensive. He is so... I get this is when you're a teenager. He is so annoyingly attached to Nico because he got one kiss and she's a cute goth girl. Though I guess when you're a teenager, that's...
Yeah, but it was like combining it with the secret eye hole painting and how possessive he was. I was very like, girls, everyone should be beating up Alex. Just... Yeah, I mean, he has a secret eye hole painting in Nico's room. That is warrant for everybody jumping him.
Sure. And you have maybe dealt with real life places that had secret viewing windows in Chicago clubs.
Yeah, God, yeah. Yeah.
We don't have to get too deep into that, but there's always a threat.
It was back in my stand-up comedy days, and it was a bar in Berwyn, Illinois, that was hosting the show that I helped produce shows, and they had a secret two-way mirror in the women's bathroom.
And how did you find it? You like went into the janitor's closet at some point and found the switch?
I was hosting the show for the first time after being an intern for a while, and none of the other producers were there, and I was handling it by myself. And our headliner had pulled me into the bathroom and was like, "Hey, you need to see this," and was like, "Look at this," and opened up a closet in the women's bathroom that had a mirror on the door, and it was a two-way mirror. And it was real fucked. We got called crazy. Yeah. There was a lot of effort to make the bar look better. But with the time and the distance from that whole incident, I would like to say fuck that bar. Fuck that.
Yeah. I mean, we shouldn't say the name. Maybe. I don't know.
I'm trying to remember it. I think it. Oh, I do remember it.
Do you want to call
Fuck
them out?
Cigars and Stripes in Berwyn, Illinois. And
and
their fucked up, coked up bar owner. That guy's creepy as hell, and that mirror was not normal. That's not normal, dude.
I don't think we can get I don't think we can get sued for slander on that one. I think we're okay. We don't have the funds on this podcast to defend ourselves in court.
He can come,
but we'll be fine. We'll be okay.
If he has a problem with it, he can come fight me.
Yeah, sure. And we'll put him in a room full of mirrors and two-way mirrors and never let him know how to get out.
But yeah. So I am a little sensitive to those things, and I do believe that those girls should have beat up Alex.
I do like that they're pushing back on him, right? Like Nico, I think as soon as Wilder is bringing up like, hey, I saw you kissing him, and like I think it's great that she already has the independence to be like, dude, we like kissed one time. I'm not your girlfriend. I'm not your property. Like not, and she's never like, I'm not in love with Topher now, but just also fuck off for not telling me about your cup painting. Like,
and we do see a little bit of a fight between Carolina and Nico over Topher, but then Topher gets alone with Nico, and I think Brian K. Vaughan did a good job of teaching girls that lesson of like it like.
Don't go into the woods with a man.
Well, that's a good one too. But like, you know, she's like upset about this one guy. So like maybe she'll seek comfort in this other guy. But no, you can't trust him either. No, don't trust any of them. Good lesson. Good lesson, Brian K. Vaughan.
Yeah. And Nico, at this point, I would be shipping Nico and Carolina, who they've at least, I think Carolina seems actually disappointed less that she had a crush on Topher and more like, oh, Nico maybe has other stuff going on, right? Or maybe that was when she first found out about her and Alex. But there's like at least a mention that Carolina seems kind of interested in her.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a is she mad? Like she seems mad about something else kind of energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Topher and Nico end up in the woods. And Topher suddenly genre shifts.
What a surprise vampire.
And he like even goes into like an evil villain monologue, like directly from the Good Boy Act. Like I could see this being filmed very well, successfully if they did it right. Like a very like, wow, we're in a different book now. What do you mean you're a vampire?
Yeah.
Why are you talking like that?
Vampires in Marvel are always so strange to me because you'll forget about them, right? And like, I know everything's in Marvel. There's Norse gods and time travel, but there's something about vampires. You're like, oh yeah, there's fucking vampire. Like Blade, I don't forget about Blade. Blade's fantastic, but there's just something about like it feels like a different series comes crashing in. They try to do like a vampire big Marvel wide event where there were like 6 prime vampires. And called Blood Hunt or something. And like it's just like, oh, yeah, I guess we can focus our time on vampires.
It just feels like a different movie sometimes. I mean, Blade feels like a superhero movie because like you have him like doing, but like
you have the Wesley Snipes who will only ever be
But
Blade.
if he's not there and there's just a vampire, what book are we in?
What book are we in? I was really annoyed for several years that at some point Jubilee from the X-Men became a vampire. And it was just like,
why?
Okay. I don't know. It just felt like they needed to jazz her up or something. And the only interesting thing I could think of is that her light spark powers, I think, hurt her as a vampire. So now she has less cool stuff to do.
It was just a torture a woman twist. They needed a torture a woman twist.
Jubilee's had some weird stuff where she was made a vampire, I think, before she adopted a abandoned baby and started to raise it as a surrogate mom named Shugo, I think the baby's name was. And then you could tell at some point the comics got bored of her being a mom. And I guess Shugo... like his mutant powers manifested and he turned into a dragon and just like flew off. Comics are weird.
To what end?
To what end is to get Jubilee back on. Yeah, she's part of the X-Men now.
Why did they do any of that to her? Why would these men do that to her?
We don't know. Maybe he was one of the few rare female writers.
Maybe there's a 1 in 100 chance, literally, in their hiring record.
Yeah. Or you have the really great example where there's an Asian writer who turns out is a white writer writing under a pen name. C.B. Subolisky had a persona writing mostly ninja-themed Marvel comics, and then it came out that was a pen name, and when he was accused of, I think you would call that yellowface,
Yeah.
I guess, even though it's, they just sort of like excused it as like, well, we don't want people to think an editor's writing, and don't worry about, I just picked a random name I like. He's now like one of the lead editors of Marvel. It's real cool.
We are in the worst timeline.
But Runaways is
Runaways
cool.
is great.
Here's what I like about Runaways, especially in these first few volumes. You get to enjoy the best parts of a creator's own vision for the story, right? It's always tough for anyone to pass on, well, like Brian K. Vaughan wrote, 30 plus issues of this, multiple arcs, and then he hands it off. And even with the best of intentions, you're just going to lose those threads, right? You're going to go for Whedon puts them in, Victorian England, and then suddenly just the focus is slightly different.
Yeah.
After this, like Terry Moore, it's the Strangers in Paradise, which is a comic I never really read, but it just tone shifts into this like a radio station is turning the teens into vampires, and Chase is now way more of like a surfer bro, and like Carolina's more it's just like, oh, a different writer has a different voice, and it affects the characters that you know. It's really tough, and comics do that all the time.
Yeah. It's strange how much of trying to do creative work feels like on the inside, just constantly having to like edit your stuff into somebody else's acceptable mold or vision, either by like writing for them or editing your thing so it fits this much more niche genre or something. And then but somehow the people at the tippity top like get all of the like harnesses off. Like they don't have a single editor or
they must have some executives usually, unless they're fully like, well, they're not.
Yeah. Well, it feels like at that level, like every executive's like do they even? They're like such like money focused folks that it's like not even about the creative process. It's like, well, he's a genius, so he'll do a genius thing. So let him go on and say that themes.
Let him cook.
Themes are for book reports or some dumb shit.
Well, you make me think of a show that you and I have both really enjoyed. What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh yes.
Which I think is a good example of both ways. Where I don't know how much FX was putting a heavy hand on their creatives, but it sure felt like, especially the beginning of that show, whatever Taika and Jermaine want to do, go for it. And I think that's also a good example of a show, though, beyond just, hey, vampires, is that's a show that changes showrunners and head writers, it seems, a lot. And you can track the tone and the voice and the humor change across seasons in a interesting, maybe you might like different seasons more than others, but it's an interesting, scientific example.
I can't help but notice in I think What We Do in the Shadows is a good example of like when Taika and Jermaine were running it, there were in the early episodes, early seasons, a lot of sexual tension moments between Nandor and Guillermo, and kind of seeming like it was going to lead into some grand vampire Van Helsing romance that's gay, and we love gay romance, yay. But then like halfway through the show, it's like, oh, they're not sexual tension anymore.
No, forget about that. Oh, Nandor now likes a woman.
He has a wife now. Like
oh God, the wife story. Yeah.
And he just like cycles through women suddenly, and it's like, no, you're in love with Guillermo. Where did that go?
Sure, and it's not even. it doesn't even feel like, oh, well, everyone's bisexual. It feels more just like, oh, we creatively wanted to go and focus on different stuff. To bring it back to Brian K. Vaughn and Adrian, like I appreciate these first launches of new comics where you can really enjoy the freedom of like, these characters can go wherever you want. Even though you're playing in the Marvel universe, this series,
the seashells down by the seashore.
Seashells, sure. The Human Torch was denied alone. That even though it's in the Marvel universe, Runaways is really good about, well, we're just going to allude to stuff, right? Alex is playing an Avengers video game, right? We get a brief meeting of Cap at the end of this.
I think even the occurrence of vampires, like, that was not mentioned yet in this standalone graphic novel, but if you know the comics, you know that's like, no, that's normal. That happens.
Yeah, and Topher's not even going like, oh, I hate Blade, wherever he is.
Just a vampire.
It's a self-contained thing.
Yeah.
And we could talk a little bit about the Marvel tie-in in the next arc with Cloak and Dagger, but just to wrap up the Topher stuff, right? Like what I like about Beyond kind of taking a turn on what felt like a tropey love triangle to, oh, Topher is a vampire. It's not spoken, but I think it excuses why maybe both Nico and Carolina were like just suddenly hot for him, is that natural vampire charisma spell they have.
Yeah, I was willing to accept that it was just teenage hormones, but then like, yeah, in hindsight, he's a vampire, so it's up to 11. Just...
He does have eyebrow piercings, and we all know that's hot.
That means he's a bad boy.
I don't think we ever watched it. Did you ever see that really bad, like in the vein of Twilight, Vanessa Hudgens movie called Beastly?
No, I never saw that one.
I think one of the Olsen twins plays a teenage witch for the curse, but that beast is just a dude with like some scars and tats, and he's still totally hot. Like he's not a monster man.
If I remember right, that was the era of oh gosh, who was it? That model that Lady Gaga used in one of her music videos, the guy with the like face skull tattoo.
Is that from the Judas music video?
I don't think it was the Judas music video. My favorite of her music videos, but also stream it on a service that isn't giving YouTube money if you ever watch it, because she is a Zionist.
What are we talking about? Oh yeah, so Topher is beastly.
Yeah, that era of like, yeah, tattoos, piercings, make that the bad boy trope right away.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. He's making his move to kill Nico. I do love this, not just the dramatic tension, but by sinking his teeth into her neck, it automatically summons the Staff of One because blood must be shed. I think Nico's learning in this moment how that works.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like this was a plan from her. And yeah, but at the same time, whatever is in her, I think there's an instinct. Like,
yeah, the Staff of One seems to almost have a, don't worry, girl, we got your back.
Yeah,
like,
she learns.
We'll come out when we need to.
It sort of acts for her sometimes, and they give her like that creepy demonic face when it does. It's very subtle, but it did make me wonder, like, are we gonna get like some standalone time with Nico's backstory and what all this is? And it seems like you don't really ever get those answered.
I'd be curious. I'm sure in one of the numerous volumes that I have never read, at some point they get into like, what Dark Master does the Staff of One serve? And it's probably like Sidorak or something. There's Dormammu. They have some ties to it. But yeah, we don't know in this run. It's just like her parents are vague spellcasters. We both noticed that they mentioned they go to church before the disguise is lifted. That seems real. Which,
yeah, it just combined with there's a lot of esoteric stuff that seems to clash in this that makes me want to be like, hold up, which book is in charge?
But I also love, I think it's really smart in storytelling to give those little details and not box yourself in, right?
Sure.
Like even the detail of, well, yes, we went to a church a Presbyterian Los Angeles Korean church, which are all over the place in LA, as cover, or Nico didn't realize she was going to a satanic cult church and just thought it was. She went to what was it like? What do you call it when you're like a teenage or elementary school kid and they take you to Bible study? I guess in the middle
Sunday
of church.
school.
Sunday school. Thank you, Sunday school. Maybe her church that was demonic would be like, okay, kids, let's all go to Sunday school and watch McGee and Me. But also now the parents are going to start chanting and summoning blood.
That seems also just as possible as this is just some esoteric thing that fits within Christianity. Don't worry about it.
I think it's always so funny that Marvel has all these versions of the ancient gods, right? Like there's Ares and Thor, and I think they get into Egyptian. Like all of the pantheon is there. There's Gore, the god butcher, who's just hunting down all types of gods. Christ never shows up.
Let's pitch it. Let's pitch it to Marvel right now.
Yeah, if you want to sell some issues, Marvel, like I don't just get into it. It's almost weird. And also, listen, if vampires are weak to crosses, God's real.
It's true. Also, I could sell this to James Gunn right now. Ready? It's Jesus Christ. He's a superhero. He's here to save us. Also, he's a party boy. He changes water to wine. He's just bringing the party with him. He's just having a good time. And people are like, save me. And he's like, but the good time.
But the good times. Just pour some wine down a drowning person.
Yeah. Like,
so he's Dionysus is basically what he is.
James Gunn could do that version of Jesus. He would do that. And then there's a needle drop. And carry on my wayward son.
Wait, why is Kansas playing?
Because that would be the needle drop that James Gunn would do for the Jesus Christ superhero movie.
Yeah, I guess that's in the right era. So Topher speared with the Staff of One. That would have been fine if that, basically vampire rules had killed him. But I love where the story goes after of like, it's wounded Topher enough to back off. Carolina has followed, I think just for like girl talk, discovers what's happening and, offers to sacrifice herself if Topher will spare Nico.
Which... yeah, it does. Like, as a reader, I did pick up on, because at this point in the story, we know how Carolina's powers work. She's an alien. She's powered by the sun. So as a reader,
and I think she's smartly not wanted to tell Topher she's an alien.
Yeah, she was kind of, and she's wearing her like stifling bracelet. It, as a reader, I was reading it like, wow, she's a great actress. Like
she is the daughter of actors.
True. I was like, she has this down. She's acting so well right now. Sure enough, as soon as he bites her, he explodes. Because she's made of sunlight.
The sun powers.
Yeah. And then vampires hate that. They hate when you feed them sunlight. It's like
blood.
Their second least favorite food next to garlic. And
Topher's just like, oh fuck.
So he explodes, and then we tragically find out that Carolina was not acting. She did not realize that was going to happen. She just thought she was going to die.
She tells the whole group, like, I actually meant it, and like, because she tells Topher, like, I want to die. This has been so effed. These last couple nights, kill me, and helps take the bait. Yeah, when she tells that to the group, it's really, I don't blame the teenagers for not being emotionally ready to handle that, but they do sort of move on quickly past.
They really do.
Carolina's suicidal ideation.
It's really sad because, like, yeah, the rest of the story, I just was so aware of how alone Carolina was. Like, she still has her friends. They're still all a group, but, like, you get that little insight of, like, someone needs to let her know she's seen, guys. Please write her a little
Yeah,
card or
she
something.
is Carolina. They've all had really fucked up lives. Maybe Molly's had the easiest only because she's being protected a little bit, right? She knows her parents are bad, but I don't think she's fully processing what that
Yeah, and
means.
she
I
did
don't.
seem wanted. Like she did seem very like loved and like kind of
Oh,
yeah, like
Molly, yes.
sheltered.
Her parents are, yeah, her parents who are like kind of more on that Magneto, like mutant supremacist, we're better than humans, kill them all. I think they're like, they initially almost sounded disappointed to find out that Molly wasn't a mutant, and then helps catch them off guard when Molly wakes up and like punches them in the dick and they need to get away. But like Carolina, maybe it has the most fucked up backstory.
Yeah.
Like maybe the most fucked parents.
Like going from and really it is like an entire at the beginning of the story, she in her reality has two parents who love her. She is a wealthy blonde girl in Los Angeles.
She's basically Apple
She's
Martin,
Apple
or
Martin.
whatever.
She wants to be an actress. Both of her parents are actors. That's going to go pretty easy for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nepo baby. They're all Nepo babies in many ways. Yeah.
But quickly, by the end of the story, it turns out she was not a child that was particularly wanted. Her parents had her for the good PR and because all of their friends were having babies.
As many parents sometimes go, well, you know what? We want to go to the we don't want to get left out of the barbecues. Yeah, I think that is so heartbreaking. It almost makes who is the first one? Is it the Yorks that have Gertrude first? Because it's sort of this like, to recap, the Pride writer, we've made these deals with ancient beings who, if we give enough teenage souls, we 6 of us get to spend time in their heaven, right?
Yeah.
And then they sort of have planned to do that, and they'll roll the dice on which 6 get to go out of the 12. And it's I think it's in these first issues, you see the flashback of like one of the parent couples going like, we have some news, we're pregnant.
And I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but Alex is the oldest. I think it was the Wilders.
Was it the Wild? I recalled, and we could always look it up. I could recall it being the Yorks, which would only add to. There's a lot of like, the parents seem to hate Gertrude the most, right? They're like, they have the most. I don't know if it's because she's unconventional and she's not like what you normally call like a beautiful kid or whatever, and she's just sort of this like bookworm. The parents particularly hate her.
Well, I think that is because she's not convention, like this is from their lens. She's not a conventionally attractive child, and I think
yes, we're not trying to be mean to Gertrude. We're talking about how these like uptight LA rich people would view Gertrude.
And she's also a teenage girl going through puberty. She's in the in-between stage of like having a child body and having an adult body. It's like she's not done yet. Leave her alone. Like, you don't know what she's going to be, and she should just enjoy being a child. She's a child. Leave her alone.
Yeah. She's also the most challenged the power structure without knowing any of this. So I can get why the parents would be like, well, we kind of like power structures.
I do think that somewhat neurodivergent coding in Gertrude is probably what pisses the parents off the most, because I recognize that as a kid who asked too many questions or would be like a little too blunt about like ethical things, and like it makes parents or adults uncomfortable sometimes when like power structures are challenged, when like a kid is just like, but I was taught right and wrong and that seems wrong, like that. Like
Gertrude's also the type of teenager to name her and her psychic dinosaur arsenic and old lace, which probably tells you the type of art and culture she's bringing up at the dinner table. Like,
oh, that's true. Christ, but I did just look it up. It's Chase's parents.
Oh, that's interesting, because they're so disappointed, and Chase's parents, like, his dad beats him, right? And like really wants him to be more than this slacker, you know, they want him to be a genius. That's it. Just I was looking for maybe connections over like, well, you kids have started us on this path where we don't get to see heaven, right? Like we are giving up all of our seats so that our 6 kids can get it instead.
True. I do wonder if, well, because I was still just I was tripped up on the fact that the like genius engineer couple couldn't figure out a condom. Seems like maybe you should question their.
Maybe they were constantly. I think they're bad guys. They're just raw dogging it.
But yeah, it's interesting that like the adults always had a conflict that was like looming, which was that only 6 of them are getting in. There are 12 of them total.
Yeah.
So it was either going to be one person from each couple or.
Well, that's
right?
brutal, right?
I mean, it's tragic on an emotional level, but also the other option is that they all fight and like people die. Well, I mean, people are going to die anyway, but it's you're going to have to kill someone to get in.
I think the thing that they are all saying to each other is there's 12 of us, we'll roll the dice that half of us and our partners get to go. Right? Like I don't think the why am I something the Gibberim?
Oh yeah.
These giant 30-foot tall, vaguely not tied to any certain religion monsters are going to be like, you know what, you and you get to go. Like it seems like they'll get to all make a choice at some point.
But
or
that
something.
Seemed like something they were kicking the can down the road about. Like there will be conflict about this. We are either going to have people making personal sacrifices, which with this group, are you kidding? Or we're going to have to probably kill each other. Or like if you want to get in, you're going to have to kill someone probably. Like
the Gibberin don't seem to particularly care though. They're just like, just get it done, whatever. So, like just give us souls.
The children thing is interesting because like you have to question if right off the bat, because like as soon as they announce that Chase's parents announce that they're pregnant, they bring up this idea of like, oh well, you know, if we all have kids, they could take our 6 places, and then you know our legacy lives on. We get to enjoy all of this. You have to wonder if like if any of them were sincerely holding on to that as the plan, because we very soon find out that that
they're all Game of Thrones in each other a little bit.
2 of the families are like, yeah, we're going to take out those guys and bring our kids in their place. And then our whole families get to go in and our kids will be fine with that.
Yeah. What is it? It's the mutants and the aliens who are basically like F humans.
Yeah.
They can all burn. We'll take our kids. I think Nico's parents and the Steins, I think. The Steins or the Yorks. Basically, the Wilders are getting left out of these backroom deals.
Well, it seems like because they're their own kind of conspiratorial. Yeah.
Yes. And also, I don't know, if you're going to go into this new Paradise Land, do you bring the 2 that have no abilities? They're just, we have knives and money.
But also, if it's Paradise, you don't need abilities, right? But is it Paradise? Were they told where they're going?
We've talked about this. No, yeah, we've talked about this off the podcast and we totally haven't recorded this episode, had to redo it. That it is vague. Again, maybe this is smart of Vaughn to not get caught up in the details of what would that paradise look for them, right? They just know it sounds great. Are they eternal? Is this supposed to be an Eden thing where like, all right, we'll have 2 kids there and they have to restart humanity. We don't really ever get into it. And it probably makes it easier to focus on these characters in the present.
True, but maybe it's my anxiety, but I think if we were approached by some beings that were like, Earth's going to be destroyed, except for you guys, don't worry about it, I would immediately be like, I don't know how to plant everything seasonally, garden. How are we going to eat? Where's the grocery store is going to be empty? I have so much to learn. How do I make soap?
You know, it's funny. I don't know why I never. You're probably right. It's just a raising of the planet. I think I, for some reason, was like, oh, we will all ascend to another realm and we'll just kill humanity on the way out. and then we're all just in some heaven void. But you're right. I don't know why they would kill humanity.
It just feels
then.
like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Like the whole Earth, like it's
all the babies
all
out
the babies
with the bathwater,
and the planet and the trees. I assume those are still going to be here. They didn't do anything.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they're just like fuck all. Yeah, no, that's really interesting.
And if there are no trees, what are you going to eat?
Well, here's going to bring it back to what I think this story does really well. Right, there is a lingering world-ending threat that comes up in comics all the time, and I think some of even the Marvel movies had the problem post the first Avengers of if they're not trying to stop the end of the world, what are we doing here, right? Like,
yeah.
Iron Man 1, we're just, let's stop Obadiah Stane from taking over Stark Industries and killing Tony and Pepper. 2, aliens are coming in, they'll invade everything, and then it's always the world will die, the universe will die, to the point where, like, do you even care if Jupiter goes away, if the characters you love are going to die?
I feel that exhaustion whenever a plot goes like, and then we'll move the Earth. Like, what are we doing? Like, what?
Is that come up a lot?
It's come up in a decent number of superhero movies and plot lines. And, I mean, one of them was a joke on oh gosh, what was the animated series with the DC heroes?
I'm trying to remember when they moved the planet.
Well,
I mean,
Superman pitches moving it in the animated one, and Batman burns him pretty good with that's stupid on so many levels. I can't even begin to.
Was that a it must have been like Young Justice or something, or Justice League. I don't remember that one. I wonder if that was a reference to the classic Superman movie where Lois Lane died and the Superman flies backward and makes the planet go back in time.
That worked because it was it was philosophically romantic, and it was more about the metaphor of the thing. But if you're just gonna boop the planet, didn't you say that the new Fantastic Four has we'll just boop the planet away? We'll just boop.
Oh, I told the how do we stop Galactus? Spoilers for First Steps is instead of trying to defeat him, let's just teleport the entire planet to another solar system. Essentially just buying humanity another 10,000 years. It
is the height of what are we doing?
Not to defend it, I was pleasantly surprised that was the weird idea versus just and we'll wait here in New York for Galactus to come down and we'll punch him real hard. They still do that, but there was something at least interesting about that idea. Even if it doesn't happen.
I appreciate that it wasn't what worked. I just it gets brought up too much. I think also there's something similar with how the Cloverfield series of movies was going, where that really went to a what are we even doing?
Well, and those also so clearly were not originally going to be a franchise, right? Yeah. It's like Cloverfield was its own thing with an ARG you and I were both obsessed with. Then 10 Cloverfield Lane's I read that original script. It's not Cloverfield.
No, it is not.
It's just a great sci-fi, what if we're stuck in a bunker and aliens are real? And they're like, well, maybe we allude to a big monster in New York. They just couldn't help start connecting those
Which,
things.
I think if you curated it better, you could have, almost a, Outer Limits kind of the movies are not connected but the universe is connected kind of vibe.
Yeah, I think just let the Cloverfield title tell you it's part of a certain series, but they are Outer Limits, Twilight Zone. They're not the same world, right? You just know if it has Cloverfield in the title in some way. I kind of know what tone I'm in for.
Well, I also like the idea of is it going to be a new monster or is it going to be one of my favorite monsters? I don't know. I want to see. I already forgot her name. Was her name Daisy? The original Cloverfield monster? What loving name they gave it?
Oh, what the code? They never get called that in the movie, right? That's all there's
ARG
stuff?
It's either ARG stuff or behind the scenes kind of stuff. But that monster. I need a movie with that monster without TJ Miller's voice. So that's why I was really holding out hope that they would keep this like, oh, she might show up somewhere else and you won't have to deal with that.
But then that happens in the later ones and it's stupid.
Well, yeah, I know. They didn't curate it well and I'm mad. But like I'm still holding out hope. Like maybe they'll just maybe they'll try again and it'll be fine.
Someone should make a redub of Cloverfield where it's not TJ Miller.
And instead it's Tig Notaro.
I don't know, there's that Tig Notaro, right? Yes, Tig Notaro did great when she replaced...
I think it was TJ Miller.
Delia.
Oh, it was Delia.
Oh, no, she replaced... Yeah, in the Zack Snyder bank heist Las Vegas zombie movie. Right. And you could tell all of her scenes are on a green screen. She does great.
Let her do that with Cloverfield, please. Actually, anyone, please pay Tig Notaro to do that.
Just swap her into stuff. To go back to Runaways, I think even though there's that big world-ending threat where like, oh wow, the Avengers should know about this, I'm really not focused on that. I'm focused on, will the kids survive? Which parents will betray each other? I almost don't... There's a version of this story where the Gibberim don't even exist, but it helps move along, like, why are the Prides stuck in this situation? Why they think they're sort of doing the right thing for their kids. It's compelling.
It is.
I like it.
I think it's safe to like talk a little bit about what happens in the end.
Oh, absolutely. We can get past the vampire's dead. Caroline is sad. We're end of teenage wasteland.
We did talk a little bit about the Cloak and Dagger stuff in the previous episode too. We don't need to. I would love to extrapolate.
Your favorite characters show up in the next arc, which is the corrupt cops owned by the Pride have reached out to no offense, a C-list duo.
But it was the smartest C-list duo to choose for this storyline because of the details of what the story is and what the bad guys are looking to achieve by doing this. They're looking for someone to just kind of be tricked into believing their story about the kids being bad guys. Because
what's your I think if I asked you to bring a story that stick comic book, you maybe would say Cloak and Dagger. What's your sort of history with them?
I really liked their story. Both their story and their design. Like I thought they were like a really cool duo, and it was the fact that they're anti-heroes. They're not because I love Spider-Man to start with. He's like, I think one of the more like uplifting and relatable, like especially for kids, kind of stories. And so like getting hooked on him, but then being introduced to Cloak and Dagger through his stories, they are not just happy. Like I know there's a lot of sadness and trauma in comic books, but like, they're not seen by everyone as good guys. Like they are, I would say, like neutral good. Is that right? Like
what? Yeah, I mean,
or like
I don't even call them anti-heroes.
Well, they are, because in terms of like how heroes work in this Marvel universe, Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, they all have this like code of conduct, which is that they follow the law. And Cloak and Dagger are just very angry because of what they went through. And they don't have the patience to deal with the law.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, because I assumed at some point they like joined the Avengers or whatever. You know, they get pulled into some teams. But now I think about it, I can't recall a single.
And it's usually because the conflict between them and any like superhero organization trying to work with them is that they will never promise to not kill the bad guy. They like, to them it's just like, you were hurting people, you're gonna die, and Cloak's gonna eat you, bye. Just like there's no like and I especially like when you do see so much injustice in the world and like experience a lot of like injustice and systemic sort of stuff, it is very refreshing to have this like superhero set that is fundamentally based in the bad guys will lose. Like it's very
Sure.
comforting. And it makes sense because like their story is just that they were two teenage runaways. They both ran away from home. They both found each other in New York. Um, Cloak was like a really shy, stuttering kid when he met Dagger. They're just kids. Some like they were just kids. They were looking after each other. Some adults talked Tandy into like Dagger into getting into a van. Basically, they were like, "We have shelter for you," and Cloak was like, "I don't trust them, but I'm going to go with you and keep you safe." And they end up getting kidnapped with a bunch of other teenagers. They're all given experimental drugs, like just street drugs.
Which it just sounds always to me a little bit like, oh, was this some version of comics are doing anti-drug PSA, sort of don't do drugs or you might get turned into a very cool hero? I guess it's not a good drug
I think it was.
PSA.
I think it was going for like drugs are made by corralling teenagers into a warehouse on the outskirts of New York City, and they're all injected with the drugs, and none of them live, and that's how you got high today, kids. Like
it's super. It's the opposite of the walk hard. It's not. It is addictive. You don't want any of this.
But yeah, they get kidnapped. They get drugged with all these other kids. All those other kids die. Tandy and Tyrone don't die. They get turned into Cloak and Dagger, and
their powers play off each other, right? Like alone, Dark Force would consume Cloak, and Dagger's light would like overwhelm her. So they sort of balance each other out.
Literally, Cloak keeps Dagger cool, and Dagger keeps Cloak warm. And without each other, they would, they would self-destruct. And it's really touching because like they do have this. It's never stated that they're like romantic necessarily. I don't think, at least not.
Oh, I thought there was some level of a like at least on and off. We have a romance, but maybe you.
In the early comics, it wasn't clear to me. They just seemed like they were like deeply codependent. Like they just need each other, but there was no. It didn't. It just seemed like sort of like how dancers are close. Because Tandy's also a dancer, and it's great because when she freaks out, she just has to dance.
She just I'm picturing interpretive. Like Fosse dancing, not at all combative.
It's a little bit more like 80s heart kind of, that kind of like just broad motion.
Oh, the metal group.
Oh yeah,
Heart.
At one point, she has a very like punk like short haircut that's like kind of styled straight up, and I think that's when she has her like manic dance break. It's great. She's great.
I'd be impressed that so many writers would take swings on Cloak and Dagger throughout the years and never do a romance. If that's true, that's almost insane to not have them do it.
And I could be wrong. Somebody could have done it. At least the early comics that I had, they didn't seem to be romantic. They very well could be.
It's cool if they're platonic. I think that's actually a really rad dynamic.
I'm
just surprised if they hadn't.
It almost, and maybe it's just how I'm remembering the stories, but there's a quote from Nancy Wake, that like World War II hero. She's like my favorite World War II hero person. When she saw her Lifetime movie that they made about her, they had like inserted a fake romance. And she when she saw it, she was like, we didn't have time for that shit. It was war. And like, I feel like there was a little bit of that energy with Cloak and Dagger of like, we have shit to do. There are children who need our help. We're going to pose dramatically.
Oh, and to that point, I think that's why they are, I don't blame them for being manipulated in this issue, right? They show up as sort of a mini arc. Like we said, the cops are like, oh, there's these runaways. Here are their names. Their parents are just sweet parents. But I love how they pin Molly's disappearance as a kidnapping from them, right? These kids have kidnapped a young girl named Molly. They're pinning the murder of that...
of that girl.
I don't know what I'd call... that poor girl from the streets that they like. I guess they just dropped the body off somewhere.
That
and said,
Alex did
these
it.
teenagers have, these teenagers have done it. You got to bring them in. And Cloak and Dagger are sort of like, we, like you said, that we understand some of the mindset of being a runaway. We'll bring them to justice.
But also, before they agree to, they do catch all the red flags in the story that the cops are telling them. They have the most, like, ideal mandated reporter energy when they're talking to the cop. Because, like, the cop is explaining the story, like, oh, these kids, they kidnapped Molly, they killed this girl, they're runaways, they're a danger. And, like, Cloak and Dagger do stop the story and be like, it's weird, that's not usually typically how runaways act. Usually kids who are doing this, they don't really focus on harming other kids or something like that. And, like, the cop's like, yeah, that's why they're so scary.
These are really, really bad runaways.
Which is...
They're on drugs. And they're like, well, we've been on drugs. That's not
right?
really
like,
how it works.
Doesn't necessarily mean it's their fault. They're like the best. They're the best kind of adults. Cloak and Dagger.
This was my first introduction to Cloak and Dagger, and I think this is a great way. Again, like the first real use of a Marvel character in this story. They're not overtaking the story, right? Like at the very end of this run, when Captain America just kind of shows up to. It's sort of the end of Peacemaker, right? Like, they don't really matter, but don't worry, the big guys are here now. I love how small it feels, right? Like, Cloak and Dagger showing up doesn't bring the entire Avengers to their doorstep. I don't think Cloak and Dagger can take down the Pride all at once without preparing. Maybe they could.
They could at least get the
Wilders. The proper power level. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Any one of these runaways could take down the Wilders. But you know what I mean? Just the level of keeping the power scale reasonable, that it still feels like a street level story that I think Marvel does really well.
I agree. And being familiar with them in the story, I did feel a little bit of like, oh, I know what's going to happen here. Like I do know that other readers who like aren't familiar with Cloak and Dagger were probably like, oh no, the kids, the adults are going to come and like tell them what to do. But like as a reader familiar with Cloak and Dagger, I was like, oh man, they're actually gonna say like, thank God they're here. Like I felt the comfort right away.
This is also, I think, one of the main trope stories of how do you tell these sort of like, how could heroes fight heroes? It's a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Someone's manipulating them, and they're gonna punch for a while before they realize they're actually best friends.
And they do that. They do that in this.
Yeah, I think the fight at the end of this is really cool. I do like how the Runaways are pretty much quickly overpowered. Most of them getting sucked up into Cloak's like dark dimension is pretty rad.
I was traumatized. I felt for I was like, I didn't even know that was an option. You can't put kids in there. Like they can't handle that.
I love a good pocket dimension. All right. I love the Hellfire one that like Nightcrawler pops through. I love the Dark Force dimension. I like any sort of like when I first my first tabletop game was playing this superhero inspired D&D knockoff called Mutants and Masterminds, and I named myself I played a small low level teleporter street urchin. I just realized now I was inspired by Runaways, like a street kid teleporter with a bat. And we quickly developed that, like, oh, I have a pocket dimension that no one else has. And I started turning it into like an eternal prison where I was capturing like drug dealers and never taking them to the police. And like any good tabletop DM, our dungeon master was like, would own it. And then at some point we busted a bunch of cocaine drug dealers, and I added cocaine to the dark dimension, and we realized that I was basically like, I now had a gang of cocaine addicted starving adults that I could almost use as a way. It was really dark and fucked up. And
I choose you, coked up gang of adults.
Oh yeah. And then the best level, I think the smartest thing I ever did in the tabletop was one of our other players was a food mancer. she could control anything that was food based and turn them into like little monsters or make like the food in your stomach get sick. And we were having this big final showdown with our big bad. And I just remember asking DM, like, I mean, cocaine is something you eat, right? And we were able to make this like 20-foot tall cocaine golem that was just spearing human thugs with its like cocaine claws. And it was great. I was very proud of myself for paying this off. Cloak does not have cocaine in the
no,
dark
not
dimension,
yet, at
the Dark
least.
Force. No, not yet. He does have dark imps.
Yes.
That I love, you know, how this is a misdirect where, well, I think it's just like Molly's left. I'm trying to remember who else is still there. Maybe Gertrude are trying to talk Cloak and Dagger out of them. We are seeing in the Dark Force these like demons dragging Chase away.
Yeah, which, yeah, making it seem like, oh, is Chase the mole?
It's a great misdirect.
We also get a line from Cloak that he feels a rumbly in his tummy, that something... one of the people that he swallowed is evil. Like he feels a darkness inside of him. So the reader doesn't get clarification on if that is the mole or if that is just that Nico is in maybe, there and like, the staff of one is just, you know, would...
I took when I read it as, oh, this means one of these four are the mole. Right, it's a good way to knock down clues if you want to pay attention.
Yeah,
but Vaughn is so good at like hiding these moments, right? Like I genuinely didn't expect Wilder until the end the first time.
Same,
I read this.
Yeah, I because he's also so coded as like an all-American. What is that song?
Are you doing Book of Mormon all-American
Angel?
Yeah,
just like he's very coded as like he's just a high school boy. He loves his video games.
All-American comic book
nerd. He's good at strategy. So, because, you know, video games, he's just a little guy.
He doesn't have powers, right? So I think I remember a couple of times when I first read this as a teenager, sort of like Wilder's sort of dragging them down, right? Or just he's got that kind of Harry Potter problem where like you're whining a lot, like as a protagonist. I don't like that you're being too attached to Nico, but realizing at the end he's the secret villain is great. And I think you're right you as a reader, Wilder is the most you'll relate to. He's like me. Yeah. He likes the Avengers.
But also
he's excited about this superhero thing.
I think it's really like chess moves smart of Brian K. Vaughan to like, play the audience in that way of you just intrinsic, like it's almost like, well, you live in a society. And in this society, this is a nice boy. This is a nice boy. He's the hero of our story. Like, there's no question about that.
We've seen his dad take away his computer at the very beginning, so we feel bad
and
for
that,
him.
like, that shorthand that we use for heroes in stories, which in our culture is the guy, the relatable guy. It is very easy to be like, well, obviously he's not the bad guy. Like, it's playing on, like, almost a little bit of the mirror to society stuff that we should all aim to do, I think.
No, it's a great hiding the not hiding the ball. I was going to use. I feel like every once in a while in writers' rooms, people just throw out these like so many writers' rooms. People use like it's too much shoe leather. I don't even know what we think that means at this point. I think it's just a way to say you don't like this story.
I will say I just talk folksy sometimes.
I don't know about this here story
listen,
beat.
I think we've got too many cows in this corral.
Start playing out a banjo, just start playing it while you're trying to break an outline.
Yeah. Every writer's room needs the country guy, and that's me.
I'm not even annoyed that this story ends with another Deus Ex Molly of Cloak and Dagger have our runaways on the ropes, but they don't realize that the kidnapped girl is actually, I want to be with these kids. And she, using her bruiser, princess powerful mutant strength, rips the cloak off Cloak, something I don't think they knew you could do.
Yeah, that was assumed that was just not possible.
His body is Cloak. Like, I don't think he has legs.
Yeah, well,
until this happens.
Yeah, he's back to being Tyrone, and, like, knowing that, like, you really didn't even see him since that first book, that first appearance. Like, they go back to his, like, like squiggly line, like shy boy
Oh, his
font.
like word bubble
Yeah.
actually changes. Yeah.
And like that was because he has a stutter, and like the cloak made him this big imposing force, with the like serious font. And yeah, it's just like a little. It's. I was a little bit like, give it back, give it back to him.
No, I as an introduction to these characters, I liked them a lot. I was down to see more Cloak and Dagger stories as I read more Marvel stuff, and you know what? They're my favorite characters to play in Marvel Rivals. I love playing Cloak
Love
and
to
Dagger.
hear it.
They're so good, and they have a dance emote,
Yeah.
so that tracks a lot. I love that this sort of like Cloak and Dagger, once they realize that these are just poor afflicted kids, are able to like counsel them. They're not doing the whole like, you got to come with us to the police station. They're letting them, live out on the law. What am I thinking of? What's that phrase?
Beyond the Lamb.
They're letting them be on the lam, which I can look up later what the hell that means. Why is that a phrase?
But yeah, they're like giving them the agency to like decide what's best for them, because Cloak and Dagger, like, it's almost like they're kind of embarrassed that it even went this far, that they should know better. They literally tell the kids, like, I'm pretty sure they're like, don't even tell us where you're going. You like,
yeah,
which is so like, yeah, kids, like, if you know your experience better than anyone else, so like, don't necessarily trust every adult. Like,
smash your 2004 cell phones.
yeah,
no, and I love this kind of promise of like, just hold on.
Yeah.
Right. We'll tell the Avengers they're going to come back with reinforcements. Unfortunately, as they're waiting, the corrupt cop gets the drop on them, along with Molly's parents, who are mutants with psychic powers. They mind wipe Cloak and Dagger. I think they tell them like they'll remember they just went on a bender, which is so sad.
That's so fucked up. Like,
these kids almost feel straight edge. It seems like cruel to tell them that they all got drunk.
It's very like, I would be very personally invested in knowing that at some point Cloak and Dagger got revenge, but also I know that it does. I know that the adults, they don't necessarily. Yeah, there's not much more Cloak and Dagger could do to them by the end of the story, but like, that's fucked up. Like, they deserve revenge.
Yeah,
and they love revenge.
And it does also, I think, remind you of the Pride being a threat, right?
Yes.
They're not just parents conniving and running around LA looking helpless. They are making moves. And that's sort of the end of the Cloak and Dagger arc. We quickly go into, I think what the next one is called is The Good Die Young, Chapter 1. Are these all songs? Because one was Teenage Wasteland. The Good Die Young, I think, is Billy Joel. I don't. Even though the Teenage Wasteland should be called Bob O'Reilly.
Oh,
because that's the real name.
You're
of the
right,
song.
But no one would know that because it's not in the.
No one would know that.
The song.
I forgot. This is around the time that we've already alluded to it. Like, we get some good lore from an establishing like what the Pride was, how the Gibberum found them and gave them an ultimatum. I think what's really smart about this is it's not just a lore drop. It's a cool story. I actually think it's a really interesting. What if 12 criminals got told they had 18 years to save themselves? I love that it's setting up that Alex is the one with the Gibberum sort of like the Pride diary, with his transcoder ring. And like, that's going to pay off later of he's got intel he's not telling the others.
Yeah. By trusting that, like, because his thing is the smarts, he's the smarts of the crew. They just give him the book and they're like, and that's your job, so we trust you with it. And unfortunately, it's just all of, it's like, he's like the FBI.
yeah, he's the CIA.
He's the CIA.
It's the book version of the cuck window.
He is not being honest. He is being sneaky.
But this is great. Yeah, I think it's really, again, you don't know this, right? Like, and it kind of feels right for the comic book nerd to have the decoder ring And he's like, I can only translate every other word, which in hindsight, he probably could translate all of them. And he's just playing that off. It's great. It really builds up a twist without it feeling like this. I sometimes read stories, I think you do too, where it feels like the entire story is just for the twist.
Yes.
They're only focused on that big, oh my God.
Yes.
So-and-so was the killer all along. It just feels a nice payoff of where that arc has been going.
Well, I think to me at least, it seems like it works because it has a why. Like, if you are writing a story for kids or for younger readers, and you intrinsically like want to include like a little bit of lessons about how the world works, more so than you would in a more adult focused story, it's smart that like the lesson here for the reader is like, yeah, you've got the super powered bruiser, you've got the guy who has flame hands, you've got the blood demon girl, like you've got all of this like superpower, like, oh, how do you even fight back against that, like how do you even measure up to that, but like you should be most concerned with information, like it's that that having information is just as devastating as landing a punch sometimes.
Yeah. And it makes, I think all of these antagonists, like the Pride, even though they're pretty evil, we have understood a little bit of their motivations. They didn't even seek out the Gibbon, right? They were pulled from the middle of their heists and told, you basically do this, or if you say no, we'll just kill you and get 12 other, villains. I almost feel sympathy for them. Almost. And then I remember that they kill teenagers. And I'm like, oh, never mind. Right. But you see their motivation. Same way Alex, like when he's played all of his cards at the end, it's so well done he's manipulated, like, he didn't tell when they go down into the underground, the marine atrium where they meet, the Pride meets the Gibberum. Like, he hasn't warned them about the rock golem. Yeah. So Chase gets taken out before he can, like, give me the fistigons, I'll use them.
He's setting up every move. Yeah. Like you said, he's setting up these moves to get them going. Gertrude tells Old Lace to trust anything Alex says if anything happens to Gertrude.
Like, if I go down, Alex is the next in command. I think just based on his prowess and like, oh, we understand you're more defenseless than others.
And also, like,
he's collecting all the weapons.
Yeah. It's really... It's devastating because you can see how in the moment, like, if you just trust your team, you should just trust your team. Like, it's not a good team if you don't trust your team. But, like, also, if you can't trust your team, that's also a bad, like, oh no, that's so scary.
It's so scary. By the way, I don't know if we mentioned it. One thing I love about all of their power sets, I had forgotten that Molly's got super strength, right? Like, and at one point they're buried under the rubble when the police collapse their secret hideout. Right. Which, by the way, the Pride would be so pissed if they'd killed all the kids. But like while they're holding themselves in this rock, Molly just punches her way out of the rock like a digger. And anytime she uses her super strength, she just gets real sleepy. It's like adorable, but also puts like a limiter on how she can't just be wrecking everyone the entire time.
It puts a limiter on her, but it also, like, that kind of makes sense. You're still a growing kid. Like, you have to recover. It's very...
She needs a juice box.
Yeah, it's very Deku from My Hero Academia. Yeah.
My Hero. Oh, as opposed to, like, breaking his limbs over.
You have to, like, you have to dole it out, and you're gonna need a nap. You're gonna be a little tired.
Yeah. I love all that. But so back to the Rite of Thunder where they're trying to intercept their parents. They're going to take the fight to them. We see again, not realizing this, the Pride are beating them. Wilder is calling the shots and still making a few good moves, but it looks like they're going to win until, each of them get taken out one by one. I think Nico is last standing with Wilder before he reveals, like, wait, stop. I'm the mole. I'm the one who's been leaving notes for the Pride. I do this because I genuinely want to make you proud. He's fallen for the toxic parenting, right? From the beginning.
Yes.
I guess if you take your son's computer away, it'll work. They'll respect you.
A little bit of Well, I don't know if it's Stockholm syndrome, but yeah, he's
Indoctrination,
he's
maybe.
internalized the wrong messages or like the wrong lessons. But also strategically, because Alex has gotten a few hits in, he's also strategically knocked out the parents of the kids that, like the parents that he doesn't want to include in this like paradise
Yeah,
situation.
he set up so that it's just his
And Nico's
parents and Nico's
parents.
parents,
And they're the six.
and open this like, yeah, this super like, don't you see, Nico? I manipulated all of this so that the six of us can go to eternity together, and very clearly like, and we'll
Yeah.
kiss, and we'll kiss forever.
And like, yeah, awkward. An eternity with like, it's like, can you imagine eternity, but it's just us and our parents?
Oh my god! And they're like watching you all the
Like,
time,
even with
and
us liking each other, that would be so like, oh, well, when do we, like, my parents don't have boundaries. Like, there'd be no alone time. There'd be no, like,
oh yeah,
there'd be no,
same.
like, separation of, like, we need private time. Ever.
Well, you're also going to go crazy,
Yes!
right? Like, whatever, even if this is like Cotton Candy Mountain that you get to go to, you're going to get sick of cotton candy.
Yes!
You're going to get sick of, like, there's only so many conversations we can have about cotton candy. We
Also,
are burning
who
out.
learned to make soap? Who came prepared?
They're just not going to have something really stinky. They're going to have one set of clothes. I love that. I think it's one of the last issues when, yeah, Alex has played, revealed his cards. You've shown how he's got Chase's Fistigons. He's got the Staff of One. Old Lace is behind him. Just everything with Old Lace breaks my heart whenever she's in danger, right? When she like blocks a laser blast and screams. When she's basically like a muzzled dog with like in questioning grounds at Alex telling her to stand down. I'll die for Old
Same.
Lace.
Also, we didn't mention it, but Old Lace was immediately trying to attack Topher. So, ride or die for Old Lace. Old Lace. Yeah, she knew.
Post Topher, I don't think Alex had really won Nico back much. You know what I mean? They weren't at the best relationship to play this, and now you and I will be together in heaven.
Yeah.
Like,
did not read the room on that one, Alex. But also, like, it feels very true to a teenage boy mentality. Like,
yes, absolutely. First girl I've kissed, who I'm in love with. I think we're the future forever.
Yeah.
I totally
also checked off all of these boxes, and that means you're supposed to like me now.
Yeah, we traded DVDs of, what was it, the Prisoner or whatever. We could talk about that for a good year. I particularly love how this ends, right? Like, there's a little bit of, I think Nico sort of fights back and she starts to free the other runaways. So they do get kind of a short fight back against Alex, who has all of these tools. But that's not what defeats Alex.
No. Eventually the Gibberim step in and they're like, the fuck is going on? We just want our dinner.
What's all this noise?
Where did all these kids come from? Get off my lawn.
We ordered delivery of a child's soul.
And they are pissed because at this point they either broke the thing or like there's just no child soul anymore.
I think the Runaways smashed the soul container, which is a big idea to even have, but don't worry about it.
But also, in terms of, we spoke earlier about how it can get tiresome for every plot line to be end of the world causing, right? And this is technically a plot line that has an end of the world consequence. Granted, it's what the parents want to happen. However, it's not that it's something that is like only Superman can stop this from happening. I think technically if everyone had like stolen their parents' car keys that night and they like couldn't go down and feed the Gibberim, it would have had the same result. Like, no more.
Yeah, we talked about this before.
Yeah, like,
would the Gibberim just stand there waiting and going, where are
I guess there's no more end of the world. Oh, we worked really hard on that. Well,
I think they, oh well, 18 years waste. It's they're again, they're Vaughn's being smart to not focus on it. The Gibberim are interested in that. If they get 18 pellets of child soul, I don't know if they have to be kid souls, by the way. I think they're just, the Pride are just preying on kids because thematics.
Yeah.
But if they get 18 of them or whatever, they can build a new universe, right? They can change an entire planet. And if they have a few, they're able to teleport the Pride to them 18 years ago and say, here's the deal. You're our group. But when they don't get the 18th one, they're sort of like, shit, I guess we'll go back to sleep for a while. You know what I mean? There's still at 80% battery power. They could do some stuff.
You would think, but instead they're like, no, I don't want it anymore.
Oh, you guys disappointed us. All right, we'll get someone new. Like they'll reset, and then all of the parents here and the Runaways will die. But to your point, I don't worry really ever if the Gibberim are going to get that and wipe the planet. I'm worried what will happen to these teenagers.
Yeah. And we do have a brief moment of some of the parents earning back some goodwill in the last moment, because the Gibberim, well, first they're like, oh, no child soul, whose fault is this? And Alex is like, I'm an adult, I'm going to take responsibility, I think I am a good person. And then he
looks at his dad like, I'm doing what you always wanted me to do, right? Like, I have grown.
And everyone is going to be proud of my integrity. And then the evil bad guys just kill him, because that's what evil bad guys do.
I love that moment. I mean, obviously the Runaways could fight him and defeat him in the power of friendship, and then they, throw him in jail. It feels so great to realize what Alex has been dealing with this whole time, right? His dad's approval. And even though everyone is telling him this is the wrong thing to do, he's doubling down on it. I love the pride goeth before the fall, no pun intended, like getting defeated by his own hubris. Truly. The shot of Alex getting incinerated into a skeleton is awesome.
It is, and it is very Icarisian. Icarisian
sure.
is a word now.
Yeah, or any of those Greek stories. I guess it's a little bit of what was the Achilles,
also him,
right?
Yeah, but getting exploded like that, he did look very much like Icarus.
I like to think that because Icarus is like his wings melted. I love to think that he just flew into the sun like a bug into a lamp.
He was wearing a lot of polyester that day, so he just went up all at once, just kapow.
just a little speep, speep. Yep.
But yeah, Alex does just get vaporized on the spot. In a moment where he probably thought he was going to get like some form of like a slap on the wrist, but ultimately like I see what you did there, though.
He's meddling with powers beyond it. Yeah, I think I'm a sucker for essentially like teenage. While this is very empowering to teenagers, right? I do think every once in a while it's important to be like, there is something to say about experience.
Yes.
And Alex was punching way above his weight in this moment. And I'd rather that than the Runaways kill him, right? Or like, we fought him and then he fell into the water and we couldn't save him. Like, I love, this is one of my favorite like villain defeats I think I've ever read in a comic.
Well, it's also like, it's a pretty good example of like, if he'd just gone along with his team, like he could have been a good guy. He could have been fine.
They would have stopped the Pride.
They would have stopped the Pride. And also by committee, the group came up with a good idea, which was stopping the end of the world. And like Alex independently was like, but I think it's a good idea if the world ends and I live. Like, it's a very simultaneously good to teach kids like, like humbling stories, but it is a story of like, and this is why you should work within a community. And
we get to choose. Was it RuPaul always says? We get to choose
our family. Gay people, we get to choose our family.
We just choose our family. Now, also tell me a sad story about before you came out.
Yes, tell me about your
and cry on
Tell
camera.
me about your childhood trauma. It keeps me young.
Right now, here's a photo of you before you came out. Look at it and cry. I think one of the things that is a wrinkle in Alex's motivations that's good is, to your point, yes, they could defeat the Pride, but following that through, all of their parents would die, right? They smash the soul phylactery. They maybe don't even have to go down there underwater, but the Pride would have to face the Gibram and die, right? Like, Alex in his mind is saving his parents by doing this.
But also, devil's advocate, and I don't think it's a devil I'm advocating for here.
No, I think you're the advocate. I'm the devil's advocate.
But, like, those parents were killing kids every year, and they were fine with it. And, they, I think the rest of the crew were pretty on board with, like, oh, well, fuck them. Like, just a general, like, they were kind of over the idea of their parents surviving this whole thing.
I don't think they wanted to kill them necessarily. I think they just, like, we know we need to stop them.
Yeah.
Right? And we'll figure out where it goes from there.
And the story does give us a little bit of a moment of giving the parents an opportunity to win back some good grace, which is that some of them do, stay behind to protect the kids from the Gibram.
Yeah, to hold back the Gibram. Yeah, they genuinely did want their kids to carry on past them.
Still narcissistic and terrible.
No, they all, as Samuel Jackson once said, yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell. Like,
It's just, it's very, I appreciate that the story did give some humanity to these bad guys, but it is still like, y'all still killed that girl. We saw you kill that girl. And they were like 18 before that. Ah, fuck y'all. Like, nah.
Justice for that girl who had nothing wrong. I think it's a great conclusion to it. I really appreciate that follow-up issue of, because the end of that last one is like, they take the leapfrog. We haven't talked about the leapfrog, the coolest little team vehicle of the Steins just liked frogs, I guess. Like, they built a ship to look like
they couldn't figure out a condom, but they made a car look like a frog.
They're
weird. They're weird ones. They feel like feel like they're in the Venture Brothers universe out of all of them.
I was about to say, it's like the Monarch and Dr. Girlfriend, where I think they just mentioned they're riddled with STDs because they're doing like swinger orgies all the time. Yeah, totally. But that when they reach the surface on the leapfrog, their parents are gone. I think Chase hot wires the frog, which is a great payoff to the van he had hot wired.
Honestly, what is that? If not some kind of engineering, I'm sure. I don't know which one, but probably one of them.
No, I mean, that's what Chase is great about, where he's not his parents' type of inventor, but he's figured out how to use their gear, the Fistigons, very quickly. And he's got, like, I don't think ironic levels of street smarts, right? Just knowing, like, oh, I swapped the plates on this van, they won't find us immediately. No one pays attention to a white van, so you can kind of like coast for a while. I like that level of a teenage boy.
Yeah.
He has not regular intelligence.
He has an idea of how the world always works, and it's just his experience of how the world sometimes works.
I love Chase. He should be a character trope. I feel like I see so many times that I just eye roll, but in my own stuff when I've written, whether it's like Steve in Troll Hunters, or there's a quote unquote dumb character in Avatar that I've written a lot of. Like, I try to do the Chase, where you might write him off, but there's actually more going on, whether it's courage or like still waters run deep. I love that archetype.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said about like when we revisit the dumb guy archetype. I think culturally because we live in America, it's a little bit of like, well, if he's a dumb guy, he's an athlete, he's gonna be into sports. Where like, I don't know, a lot of some engineering jobs is just this shape goes good into that shape, and then you hit rock with hammer, and that's like, and that's trades, man, and we need those trades. Those trades make tools and like specialized equipment that no one else knows how to make, and it's like this like
I've been thinking more about go ahead.
But yeah, it's that hands-on knowledge that like sometimes only a guy who is strong enough and dumb enough to break that rock is gonna learn. Like it is good to bring back, like, I think, because we do also associate a lot of trade stuff with like less than smarts, and it's like, well, it's intuitive kind of like when you're working with your hands and like seeing the results of things and like picking up patterns. A lot of that is not like because the math works out kind of smarts.
Can I say, I totally agree. Can I say that I think you've been rubbing off on me enough where I had to think for a second. You meant like trade like a bricklayer. Oh, right. Gotcha.
I didn't mean the other kind of trade.
Watching too much gay drag TV.
But also they get the himbo stereotype sometimes too, and
Well,
justice
also
for trade.
I love this. I think this is also a great. I love a dynamic where like this is such a girl heavy team. By the end of this, Chase is the last male, but it doesn't. I've read Marvel comics where the girl power angle of it is annoyingly performative, right?
Sure, yeah.
The end of Infinity War, where it's like, that's right, all 20 female characters who have never met are fighting side by side. Like, this is weird.
You've seen them all have one line in each of their respective movies, but now you get to watch each of them have one line in a row.
One line. And they're going to fight evil women. It's always women fights women. My favorite versions of this is when I think you just don't even process or acknowledge it. There's one line before Alex's dies, I think, where he's like happy Topher's in the group because it needs some testosterone to balance it out. But otherwise, I never pay attention to it, right? Like I'm looking at the cover for the last issue in this volume, the sort of like epilogue that I've raved about before. It's that issue 18, the sort of like Joe Chen missing poster.
Yeah.
That's, like all 6 of them sitting in almost like a Breakfast Club pose. They're all in their different unique outfits. You have like on the same bench, Nico in full like goth glam, then Molly with her oversized, almost like Louise Bob's Burgers hat, and Gert in her like librarian buttoned up sweater, pouting. Like, this is a fucking cool dynamic team.
It is.
Right? They're all different things. And I never even think about Chase being the lone guy.
It's that credit I want to give to Vaughn, because I don't, me, I don't often give male writers credit because they don't deserve it.
No.
A lot of them don't deserve it, so I don't. But I often will say when it comes to women's stories that, like, when they're handled by men, they're not handled well, and men should stop doing it, please. But there are ways of doing it well, and there are successful attempts at it. I think this is one of them. Like, this is and to me, the reason why it comes off so successfully and is a good example of how we should tell these kind of stories is because I think, especially growing up in the era that we did, whenever it was an empowering story, it was made and marketed to be an empowerment story. It was made and marketed to be for the group that it was empowering, and no other like dimension. It would be kind of shallow. Spice World is one of my favorite movies, and it's a great movie. But like, the girl power of Spice Girls, it's a great movie. It is a damn near flawless movie.
I love how you triple down on these. You know what? It's a flawless film, and it should have won Best Picture. It should have.
And honestly, the fact that it's not on any streaming services is something we should be able to sue the government about.
Would it be the British government?
Both of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
double dip.
Class act. Yeah, we'll take it to all of their
of the courts. It's the girl power that is about marketing is always just for girls, and it's always done in the goal of it is, especially in our culture, is to sell stuff. We're saying girl power so that we can sell the merch to little girls. But we will not hire those girls when they grow up. The way that this story is told is that it's not selling you a message. It's showing an example of, it's giving character versions of examples of both um, overly independent character types and an example of community. And I think,
Yeah.
especially like as feminism has its like, its eras, uh, we're shifting a little less into like the feminism that is about being as independent as men seem to be, like that, like we're like men, but like, and more into the like feminism is about community. Community is about protecting children and equity for everyone else. Like and it has very little to do with just girls, with women at all. It's about protecting children. And literally this crew is, yeah, it's mostly girls, but we're not talking about it. It's barely brought up. And the
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
barely even bring it up. They're just like, yeah, these are my friends. What? But
And no one wants to date Chase. Like, there's
yeah.
a lot of bisexual gay energy in this
And
group.
on top of it, the thing that unites them the most, even from the beginning of their story, like the thing that made them, because at the beginning of the story, they had no personal connections to each other than this like once a year event. As soon as they decided to work together, it was because they knew Molly was in danger. They were like, we can all kind of take care of ourselves, but we know that Molly doesn't know any of this is happening, and she's in the hands of child murderers. And that's literally the thing that gets them in the van to go and gather up all the clues and do the thing. Like, protecting children is the central focus of the group. And I do think that is a successful feminist story. He did it. He did the thing. He did it, and he made it look easy. And that's crazy.
Vaughn's pretty good. I don't think you've gotten to read Paper Girls yet, with only female protagonists. I think that's a great story.
I'll trust him with it.
Why the Last Man's got some great female characters in a world that there's one guy left.
But also
we can't talk about those right now.
Yeah, he broke my heart with that one.
Go ahead.
I can't. It's a great story. One of my favorites. I can never read it again, and I can't recommend it to anyone else.
Oh, I'd still recommend it.
It's too sad.
There's some great character stuff to it. The epilogue of this we've alluded to. We don't have to spend too much on it, but I think there's some great little moments of, in the last few weeks, even though the Avengers have saved them, we see that like they've been put back in the system. They didn't get taken to Avengers Tower. They didn't get to join the Young Avengers or the Avengers Initiative. Yeah. They get basically put in the system. Old Lace is taken from Gert, which is like heartbreaking. Yeah. Right. And they're all meeting back at the Griffith Observatory at the James Dean statue and talking about how it's not working for them. Like, maybe we run away together, but also Chase, who's been on the lam, has found Old Lace, and is definitely like, I think there was a little tension between him and Gert, but this is the like, oh, she's gonna kiss him now. Like he found her dog.
They did kiss once before when he didn't drown. They kissed, and they were like, "Hush, now, don't tell." Like they were like, "Don't talk about that. We didn't just do that." But yeah, now they're kind of more of a thing, and it's really cute. Like, they are a very cute couple. They feel very real.
Unlikely couple that would never, even though they had those yearly get-togethers, would never have gotten together if not going through this adventure and learning about each other. Let's talk about how fucked up it is that the Avengers, including, I think this is Tony Stark's.
Yeah, this is Tony Stark's
warehouse.
In downtown LA, it said.
Yeah, well, that's already I could buy that there's a secret Stark warehouse in downtown LA. It's a lot of abandoned buildings. I think it's so fucked that they put poor Old Lace in what looked like just some metal tank with like, are the robots feeding her?
Yeah.
Is she just stuck in darkness? That's brutal.
It literally looks like they dropped her off in the Indiana Jones vault. Like, they just like...
They put her in like a storage container and just like, all right, goodbye.
Which, granted, before Gert got her parents were kind of treating Old Lace the same way, but they were villains and we hated them for it. Like,
no, yeah, they never. I don't know if she was cryogenically frozen at some point, because also think about her just like in a basement waiting is really sad.
And when they like leave, because early in the story they do leave her there and they feel bad about it because they're like, that's a cruel
but then
thing
Old Lace
to do.
starts following her because she wants to be with Gert. But yeah, there's like a kind of quick like them having one last adventure, right, defeating the robots. I love that moment of Nico's pinned by a robot and Chase tosses her the knife to, shed blood and draw the staff, and she just stabs the robot in the eye with a knife. It's a great little subversion.
And also just like a good character growth moment because, at this point in the story, at the beginning of the story, she might not have just been a action first stab a bitch kind of girl, but like she's been through some stuff now, and her first move is going to be to stab a bitch, and I think that's growth.
But yeah, they take off back in, I think, the Leapfrog, right? And the Runaways have been set as a fully realized team. They've dealt with their parents. They all need therapy. Oh, yeah. But
they also decide not to go back into the system after this little adventure. They decide to stay as a crew and take care of each other. I really, really appreciate that this was included in the ending as an ending to their story, because ending on Captain America showing up and just implying that it's all going to be good because the system will take it from here. Yeah. Not a great ending that's like honest for these kids that we're trying to be honest with.
Yeah, to defend Cap, who I think is always going to be, there's been so many versions. Oh, I don't even get started on that last couple of years where it's like, what if Cap has been secretly a Hydra agent this entire time? It's the dumbest, stupidest idea. The idea that like, I think Cap was like, I did the right thing. I saved the kids and the proper people will take care of them. Off to throw my shield at people. Like, I kind of believe that Cap is naive in terms of American systems must be fine. Like, I'll be
but
okay.
It also it implicates Cap the same way it implicates all of the adults in these kids' lives. Like, if the story like it has a most consistent theme, it's that kids are let down by adults sometimes, and like that includes Cap. Not his fault, but it includes him.
A Cap. That's the end of the story. I think we've talked a lot about already why this sticks with me, but it's affected a lot of my writing. It does a lot of like YA, all ages, quote unquote, 4-quadrant stuff I write. This is something a kid could read, and Marvel definitely targeted this, including like, speaking of girl power stuff. Like, I remember after reading this, Marvel started putting out his like fake manga sized collections, and it was only ever the girls on the cover. And it was like next to Fruits Basket at the bookstore, where they were very much like, girls,
no,
come here. Like, I think it hits all demographics. I think it's really like, we talk about Animorphs on Goosebuds. Letting kids understand some heavier stuff without it feeling like shocking for the point of being shocking, and letting these characters grow. It's all the things I love in my own stories. And I can feel its inspiration a lot.
Yeah, I see a lot of like the type of stories that you lean towards in this overall arc. Both like having, I do notice you do like that, like I don't want to call them himbos because they're all like kids, but like
I like having one somewhat himbo that people underestimate.
Yeah, and sure. I also like I love that character because like I think it's also a good thing to like teach kids who are like on the taller, stronger, more athletic side to like embrace being a goof. I think that's also just like there's value in that. That's
probably a lot of me being a high school jock who didn't want to be a jock.
Yeah, and I see that and there's a lot of love in those characters that I see, right? And I see a lot of love was put into Chase too, which is good. But it's also like at the same time you have all of this goofiness, there's like an awareness in the story that is like the world can be very, very dark, and like it's not about, I think sometimes adults who write for teenagers or kids, I know we've talked about some writers that we've met who almost have a like, oh no, we need to teach kids that they need to sacrifice themselves, or like any sort of like we need to like, teach kids that the world's going to be harsh, and so like, oh, these kind of kids need to know the world's not a soft place. And it's like, you can teach kids to be wary of untrustworthy people,
Yeah.
while also keeping the goof, like keeping the joy, keeping the community, keeping the why. And it's never just like shocking for shock's sake. And I feel like even R.L. Stine like loses that that why sometimes. Like it is a little like, I don't know, even his felt like callously like, it seems like you just hated, like you just wrote a kid you hate.
Yeah, I don't think RL was ever even, I think there's at least one quote, found on the podcast at one point where he has no theme, he has no character, he's just coming up with like a pun name.
And
sure, he's not trying to teach kids anything with his.
And
his
if
books.
anything,
It's
I could almost see him like I reading those books feels like hearing an adult say, you think I'm tough, the world's tough. Like that feels like RL's view of children of like, this one's a brat, I don't like him.
But you're right, there's no preachy lesson. I'm looking at the quote from, I don't know, this is a real James Dean quote, but it's like one that, because the James Dean statue sort of is like this recurring thing to them, and it embodies sort of a burned out young life in LA. It was a cool idea of Vaughn to do, but to your point about not preaching a big, here's the solution to the world. It's just, I never thought I'd live to see 18. Isn't that dumb? Every day I'd look in the mirror and say, what, you still here? Man, like even today, I woke up this morning, and the sun was shining and everything was nice. And I thought, this is going to be one terrific day. So you better live it up, boy, because tomorrow maybe you'll be gone. And I know that's just like appreciate now, but I think for teenagers who feel like everything is scary and terrifying and the whole world's ahead of them, I like the more like enjoy this and try to make the most of it, and you'll figure it out.
Yeah. It's like, it's not a denial that the world is hard or that the world is scary, but it is a like, find people you like hanging out with despite it kind of energy. A like, find joy despite it. It's important to find joy despite it. Like all of those lessons show up, I think, especially in this one, a lot more than I would even say successful revolutionary writing for kids sometimes loses that joy and loses that like spark of fun. And I think this one keeps the like lightheartedness. I don't know if it's because Chase specifically is there or if it's because Molly is there.
No, I think they all have moments of levity. And despite, you're making me think about now how in the epilogue where they're all talking about, their future, I don't remember if they mourn Alex much at all. They're just like, it's kind of fucking crazy, but things are kind of better. I love it. I think that's a good way to wrap up with Runaways there. I still love this series. I think Brian K. Vaughan is just like project for Pound. That's a term I made up. I don't know if he's written a bad one. Like there's ones that are maybe a little bit weirder or more flawed, and who knows, maybe he won't stick the landing with Saga when he finishes it in 10 years, but like, I love all this stuff.
And hey, listeners, name your least favorite Brian K. Vaughan work in the comments. Let us know the worst he's done.
What about your favorite one?
I'm not sure if there is one. Let's see if the readers.
Yeah, challenge us. Come at us.
Also, let us know your favorites.
We have two quick questions, Jakylln, if you got time, from our Patreon's supporters. These are gonna be like lightning round.
Oh, sure.
From Hey Josh Rob, ask who's your favorite little freak for Marvel or DC? Like favorite obscure character.
Oh.
I know you're not as much of a big 2 comic reader, but I mean, would it be Cloak and Dagger? Are they freaks?
I think it is Cloak and Dagger, and only because they are like freaks in the sense of morally gray. I like that. Yeah. I like that about them. I'm trying to think if there's any others because we talked so much about Cloak and Dagger today.
I know they're kind of on the mind now too.
The mind, but they are close to my heart, and they are my favorites. I don't know why, but I was always very disappointed. I know we got a little bit of it in the movies, but like when we were first promised Rhinoceros, and we did not get follow through on that Rhinoceros, I was very disappointed.
Oh, you mean the Paul Giamatti mech Rhinoceros?
Yes. I don't know why, but I was fascinated with that take, and I wanted to see more, and that little freak is something I wanted to see more of.
That's maybe one of the most disappointed of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 despite all the other things of like, finally, we're cooking. We're going to see Paul Giamatti is a Russian rhino mech, and like just as it started to pop off, it cuts to credits. Frustrating. So Giamatti Rhino, you'd say is maybe one of your favorite little freaks. Why didn't he? It's so annoying that in No Way Home or whatever it was, when they summoned all of Peter's villains, it wasn't Paul Giamatti not in his rhino suit. Just like,
thank you. I was expecting him there.
He's just got like a knife and he's trying to stab Peter all the time. He's building a rhino suit out of cardboard boxes.
Yeah, it's a little freak I want to see.
Little freak. My go-to, there's so many weirdo X-Men. Actually, I thought about this of, maybe it's, you mentioned in Fantastic Four. I really like Mole Man. I think Mole Man is just like a silly little guy, right? He's like fighting for his like subterranea world. He kind of feels like the ugly kid at school compared to the Fantastic Four, even compared to the Thing. He's in First Steps.
Oh, really?
And not enough. Not enough. Like barely any.
Aww.
He's played by Paul Walter Hauser, who you might know as the guy from the I Think You Should Leave, Jimmy Taco Stole All My Lines sketch, where he's like, I love my wife. I'm not going to make fun of her.
Oh my God.
And like, he plays it pretty well, but there's just like not enough of him.
I do wish more of those. I wish they used more of those characters for more genre-specific superhero movies. Yeah. I think we got like hints of them trying those things, but they never really followed through. But like, boy, a Tim Robinson Mole Man combo movie.
That'd been so great. Yeah. Reed Richards keeps taking my lines. The other, oh man, it's so frustrating in First Steps because they're like doing this. It's a cool vignette tone, right? Of like this pseudo 1950s retro stuff. And then you see in the montage of like the start of the movie, totally fine. It's not an origin movie. But like the Fantastic Four have been fighting all over New York and saving us from threats like Mole Man and Red Ghost. And Red Ghost is like a dude who controls super apes. And they apparently had cast John Malkovich as Red Ghost and then cut all of that stuff. There's just one shot of Mr. Fantastic kicking an orangutan off like a power line. It's like, no.
What?
Give me the monkeys. Like, let me see them fight monkeys more. It's why are you guys not
also,
doing
that just means that they paid John Malkovich at some point
Probably.
And then just scrapped it.
Yeah.
No, that feels like it should be archived for posterity.
That should have definitely been in the blue, but also, yeah. Speaking of Amazing Spider-Man 2, it's like Cheyenne Woodley or whatever. I think they shot her stuff with Mary Jane, and then just like, nah, never mind.
That's got to be devastating.
Go save the dolphins or whatever, Cheyenne Woodley.
I hope she did. I hope she saved them. I hope they're safe now.
She was doing something like that and dating freak idiot Aaron Johnson.
I have no idea.
He's a QB. I know you don't follow football.
Football. Gotcha. No idea.
What was his name? Played for the Packers. Meta for the Metaphor asks, specifically for you, Jakylln, has Jakylln ever considered developing alter egos called Dr. Jakylln and Mr. Heidi?
It is what the name is a reference to. But
is this like, would you split them? Would you do full like Dr. Jakylln is all about, I don't know, throwing people through walls, and Mr. Heidi is... oh, no, sorry. Jacqueline's the good one. Jackal, right? Yeah, Hyde's bad.
Yeah.
Hyde's the violent one.
Mr. Hyde. He doesn't have a doctorate, so he's low class.
He doesn't have a doctorate, so he's angry about it. Yeah.
IRL, for me, it's a little bit the opposite. It's just that, Jakylln is the one that you guys get, and she can swear, and she's fun. And then there's customer service Heidi, and she has to be nice to customers and not swear. And that's the main line, I think.
That's it.
I think that's pretty much. So if you ever see me working customer service in real life, that's Heidi. But over here you can call me Jakylln. And I'll talk like a sailor.
Jakylln. And sometimes I call you Heidi, and that's okay. But yeah, Jakylln. Jacqueline's your main persona. Maybe when we record post midnight, or maybe when we lose an episode a third time, Mr. Heidi will come out.
And it'll just be, oh, I'm so sorry that you had that experience today.
That's your sinister. That's been the pod. If you like this show and want to support it, there's a couple different ways. We haven't had this call for a while. Please go on your favorite podcast service, wherever you listen to this. iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. Sometimes it's up there when I get around to uploading them. Please, I know this is so easy to just hear this phrase and ignore it. Please subscribe and leave a review. Doesn't even have to be 5 stars, but please it'll be 5 stars. That is one of the best ways for like those iPod podcast algorithms to recommend us to others. Give us a nice review. If you do, we'll read it on the show. Stories that stick, you search, it'll come up. You can also support the show in even bigger and better ways. You can tell your friends about the show, spread the word. But most importantly, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/stories that stick. You help us keep the lights on this pod. You help pay for the production and the uploading and the editing and allow us to do this. And you get access to bonus episodes. You can vote on what we're covering next. We are doing a Goosebuds run, me and Jakylln covering Animorphs. We're only doing that because of our patrons who voted on us to read Animorphs. And we're working on some exciting new bonus content for the pod going forward. Please go to patreon.com/stories that stick. For even $2, you get access to our Discord and preview of episodes. And for $5, you get the bonus episodes and get all the episodes ad-free and early. Your support means a lot to us. We appreciate you.
We appreciate you so much.
We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
This episode of Stories That Stick is brought to you by our wonderful Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/stories that stick, especially those in the Book of Names. Starting with Stefan Jive Turkey Kuwabara, Nathan Dolezal, Hey Josh Rob, Afshin, Buddy Morrill, Stealth a Beautifully Fleshed Skeleton Bates, Robert Moon, Jason Crooker, Zenticles, The Juggalopolist, Aiden Wants to Take a Nap, Gale, Jar Jar Slinks, Chosen One, Clay Castle, John Keaty, Miguel Pardo, Yanni Markovina, Anthony Mulberry, Carl, Brooke X, Christian Van Skeever, Jeremy Lowe, Jonas Engman, Zach Connor, Elusive Koala, Luke, Jesus Christ, Brian Hobgood, Tom Whittam, Lord Cornwallis, Rushy Glenn, Juan Jalapena, Chip Handsome, Matthew Sutton, Tobias Clark, Russell Kasberg, Xavier Jimenez Castillo, Rena Kemp, Hamboat, Limp Duck, MC Hamster, Raymond Hernandez, The Crowfins, but seasonal, Jeff Coffey, Scotty Pippen, Chris Jorkin Madorkin Nelson, Zach Weir, Meet Virginia, Kieran McNamara, Diet Soda, Woof 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 Woof, A Pair of Scots, Meta for the Metaphor, Estamena, Lord of Paul's Pants. You still have those pants. I hope they're holding together. Zam Bambino, Ma, the Meatloaf, Burger's Wonderful World, some of Chat's bird friends, Nicholas Maloney, Lucretia McEvil, Need More Kimchi, Mutant Astronaut, Logan Derby, Cameron Hansen, Eric Horwitz. I don't know why my voice broke during that. Generally depressing. Philip Reynolds, Nate Bit G, Scott Wable, Joey Evans, Resident Lorcana Guy, Stinkglitch found the flask of Tefnut. What you gonna do with that, Stinkglitch? Will you use it for good? Will you use it for evil? Mr. Unimportant, Roman Poetry, Megan McCormick Mason, Sprinkle Buns, Aaron Lord, SSJ Trogdor, Max Boltzmann, Farah Ant, Mike Spaghetti Jones, Robot Arena, Quest #1 Agnes Tachyon fan, Big Nick Lane, Kyle O'Neill, Tacky Tammy, Kiwi of Lerv, Chevy LaGrange, Chris Curto, Jesse Boggs, Michael Malloy, Tick Me Out to the Hollow Suite, Dakota Kemp, Ty Meets Flesh, Odin's Eyehole, still a pretty decent dog, generally speaking, Turaku, Kit Bush, Jafar is a homeowner. Congratulations, Jafar. I hope you don't have to do a repair immediately, as it did for me. Congratulations. Dennis Wright. Over the Moon. B. Clint Deerking. Jolly Old Jules. Smelodies. Chris can't think of a fun name. Spencer Leith Johnston. Dumb bitch juice just thriving in her corpse bucket. Alan MC. R.L. Stein's post-apocalyptic Triple G Gazongas. Treehouse of Jorge. Complex. Better a Yeti with a flaw than a Bigfoot without. Wyvern. Angus Keith. Canadian Ghoul. Big Old Dumb Burb says take time to be kind to yourself. Nathan Galindo. J. Fen Crane. Jackie Bay. Ari. Andrew. Ben Sora 13. Snack Wells Cookie Monster. Cameron Murphy. Patrick Nielsen. Avery. Snack Reiner. Mike C. Mike Simple Name. Andrea. Kid Chaos, the pride and torment of the podcast. Energy. Varkenvale. Fogbread. Just a Ghost. Noki Station. Zane. Harlan Tallman. And welcome Curbside Weg. Thank you all so very much for supporting the show. Hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you next time. You've reached the end of this episode of Goosebuds. Hosted, produced, and edited by Chad Quandt. Hey, that's me. Associate produced by Jakylln Heidi Quandt. Theme music by Ed Scudder. Additional music by VitaZen. You can contact us at storiesthatstickpod@gmail.com. And please support the show and get access to ad-free versions, bonus episodes, and more at patreon.com/storiesthatstick. You've reached the end of this episode of Stories That Stick.